halt to the proceedings and direct the assembled officers to escort any person participating in the disruption out of the chamber. Once persons participating in the disruptions are outside of the chambers, the officers will close the doors and the disruptors will be handled as directed by the Director of Public Safety. The council proceedings will not begin again until those that participated in the disruption have left the chamber and the chamber's doors are closed. Disruptors will not be allowed back in the chamber after the meeting resumes. Again, this is the first and only warning. Madam Clerk, please dispense with the journal.
Motion by Councilmember Harsh that the reading of the minutes of the last meeting be dispensed with the journal approved. Second by Councilmember Starr.
Thank you. We'll now move to public comment. I'll ask all council members to turn and acknowledge the speakers, and I'll ask all the speakers to please acknowledge your time. When you see the yellow light, that means to slow down. When you see the red light, that means your time is up and abruptly stop. Thank you. First, we have Gregory Johnson from Ward 15, introducing a new community service focusing on peace and unity. He's representing the United Nations Association USA Cleveland chapter and not being paid by anyone. Mr. Johnson, you have the floor.
I'm a geek, so kind of work with me here, okay? My name is Greg Johnson, and I've been a community activist for, I'm looking around here, for more than 50 years. And I'm privileged and honored to have been selected by the United Nations Association USA, which is the domestic division of the United Nations at all. They asked me to open a chapter here in Cleveland, and I said I'd like to take in greater Cleveland. So my reason for being here is basically to announce that we're here. We're in the process of building and putting things together, and it's a big, big job, but it's the best job I've ever had, and I love it. The second reason I'm here is to solicit the mayor and his staff and all of City Council to be partners as we work towards peace and unity in this, our city, that has huge assets and what have you that many of us don't know anything about. So I'm asking you to be a partner. I'm not asking you for money. I'm not asking for anything. It's just a partnership, and we can talk about details at another time because I only have 3 minutes, okay? I'm excited, and I've talked to a few of you already, and I believe you're on board with us. We're building a council. Well, it's called a board, but I call it a council because I believe in people not doing top-down, but talking together about things, and that happens through council. So I'm excited, and I thank you for the 3 minutes or minute and a half or whatever that I've had this evening. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Next, we have Stephen Katanovich from Ward 7 to talk about being wrongly banned from Galleria and Erie View Tower. He's not representing anyone, not being paid by anyone. Please come to the microphone, sir.
Okay, I'm addressing a local issue. I am wrongly banned at the Erie View Tower. 9 years ago, Galleria security told me that I was banned for life from entering the Galleria Erie View Tower YMCA complex. Once again, 9 years ago, Galleria security told me that I was banned for life from entering the Galleria Erie View Tower YMCA complex. Why was I banned? I was wrongly accused of doing something. 2 security guards wrongly accused me of masturbating in the restrooms, something I did not do. Once again, 2 security guards wrongly accused me of masturbating in the restrooms, something I did not do. I am a victim of rumors and corporate conspiracy. Revitalizing the Erie View Tower. That agenda is quite well known over here. James Kassoff is the current owner of the Erie View Tower, and I am writing monthly letters to James Kassoff. Once again, 9 years ago, Galleria security told me that I was banned for life from entering the Galleria Erie View Tower YMCA complex. I was wrongly accused of masturbating in the restrooms. Now, if you want me to talk about the war, I'll make it brief. Annihilationism accomplishes nothing. Revenge accomplishes nothing. People need to cast aside their differences and work for peace, work for justice. Now, don't forget what I said about my wrongful ban at the Galleria, Erie View Tower, YMCA complex. I have to make a stand against it. I am 50 years old. I am sober and rarely drink alcohol. My name is Stephen Katanovic. Again, my name is Stephen Katanovic, or in short, Stephen K.
Thank you. Next, we have Sabrina Otis, and Sabrina Otis is from Cleveland. She's here to talk about the mayor's comments about safety, the safety advisor, safety and traffic. She is not representing anyone and not being paid by anyone. Ms. Otis, you have the floor.
Good evening, everybody. I want to start this off with, I want to piggyback with Councilman said 2 weeks ago that you all work for the citizens of Cleveland, not the other way around. And so I want to piggyback on what the mayor, when he made a statement about the resignation of Mr. McEwen. He stated, and I'm going to synopsize it, he stated that, you know, his family is from the South. If you look around Cleveland, most black folks are, you know, our lineage is from the South. All of us are. So when he says that he also was raised regarding civil rights, yeah, all of us had that same lesson. And so then it bothered me that he didn't take any responsibility. All he said was that he was sorry. Actually, he didn't say he was sorry. What he said is that he's trying to build the community together, and it's going to take all of us to do it. Okay, he didn't say all those words, but I just put it that way. As a citizen, when I read his statement, and I read it several times, I was mad because I was like, well, when is City Council going to step up and put their own statement out about the resignation of Mr. McHugh? No one did. And it bothered me because if we're talking about the lineage of the South, you didn't have to go that far, because in 1966 in Huff, we had the Huff riots. And they started over a glass of water, the same way that family went through a car accident. So if we're going to use a synopsis on bridging it all together, Huff should have been the one the mayor should have used. It should have been the one he thought of first. And he should have been the one that he thought of when he hired his friend. Next, when we talk about safety, it's about to be the summer. We have cars blowing through stop signs, through red lights. Nobody is doing anything. We have traffic commander, I don't know what they're doing, but somebody better do something, because if kids start getting ran over, you guys should be held responsible, because I, as a resident, and others are writing emails to council, to the chief, to the safety director, and we're begging for you guys to do something regarding speeders running through stop signs, and you can see them. I don't know, maybe in the city of Cleveland, because they don't do it in Lakewood, they don't do it in Rocky River, they don't do it in Shaker and Cleveland Heights. They respect the traffic laws, but everybody comes into Cleveland and acts like, oh, it's just Cleveland. They don't matter. We can just ride through the city as we please. It's unacceptable. And everybody on council should be saying something to all their commanders, all their sergeants, everybody. Like, I'm gonna need tickets. I'm gonna need tickets. If we become the city that writes tickets for speeding, guess what people won't be doing in Cleveland? Speeding. That is it. Have a great night.
Thank you. Thank you. Next, we have Juan C. Collado Diaz from Ward 11 to talk about fireworks, balloon release enforcing laws. He's representing the Libertarian Party of Cleveland and not being paid by anyone.
Thank you, Council President. Good evening, Council, Mr. Mayor. About 2 years ago, I was going through my email, as most of us do, and I stumbled upon an exciting opportunity. Councilwoman Rebecca Moore was hiring an intern, and this opportunity looked amazing. I could escape 2 full-time jobs and a third job that I was working at Cuyahoga Community College while also being a full-time student. I thought it was an entryway to local government, but I was surprised when I saw the application requirement, which was to write an essay about the firework legislation in Cleveland. I looked at that and I was like, wow, council actually is doing something for our environment. I was surprised, which I have never been, by our council, and then look back and go, wow, as of today, our council has been very ineffective about those things. I look back and 2022, you guys passed a balloon release here in Cleveland, if I'm correct. And in 2019, you passed a law for all households to be lead safety assessments and be certified. However, those laws are being ignored. Half of the city has not been tested for lead, and most of the houses are still not worked on. Let's talk now about balloon releases. They may look harmless, they may look beautiful up there, or quote unquote, but what we the people are not educated or don't know is that this travels for miles, polluting the environment, polluting our waters, and just destroying and killing many of our animals and the sea creatures. These balloons are confused by food by marine animals, and they can lead to fatal blockages of our sewer systems and the birds and other wildlife. So now let's talk a little bit about fireworks. So going back over here, the firework problem started many years ago, and we see it every day happening. But last month, a massive fireworks show was put out in Old Brooklyn. These fireworks were illegally obtained by the residents or the person who did this, and there's nothing that CPD did about this. And when you call CPD, you're either classified a Karen or they don't want to do anything. Councilmember Harsh, if your office has done anything, please let us know, or how you guys are addressing this issue. Fireworks are known primarily to affect people with trauma or post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, including primarily veterans in our city, and also the population of people that have come here recently from countries that are currently at war. This affects the people that are coming from Gaza to Cleveland and the people that are coming from Ukraine. Imagining coming from a place that is getting bombed on a daily basis and hearing this fireworks going, because Americans do not know how to preserve our planet and prefer to pollute over their celebration. These nonstop fireworks over months are creating toxic and our physical environment and are terrifying the emotional and psychological well-being of people, and are putting our pets and wildlife in danger. As an owner of two amazing puppies, I have to stand with them every single minute. Can I get one more second, please? I have to stand with them every 4th of July and deal with them and hug them while these fireworks go. So please, Council.
Sir, your time is up.
Don't be climate clowns and be real politicians.
Sir, your time is up. Thank you. Next, we have Selena Vicario from Ward 15 to talk about Cadell Park CMSD land dispute, representing no one and not being paid by anyone.
Okay. Can you hear me? Just as water, sewer, and public safety are considered essential public services, parks are vitally important to establishing and maintaining the quality of life in community, assuring the health of families and youth, and contributing to the economic and environmental well-being of a community in this region. This according to the National Recreation and Park Association. While trees are an essential function of our ecosystem, parks are so much more than just trees. There's a lot of evidence that the presence of green space in neighborhoods fosters community cohesion, allowing for people to know their neighbors and promotes safety, and that we know that play is absolutely essential for childhood development, says Dr. George Benjamin, Executive Director of American Public Health Association. Quote, parks can help city leaders achieve their priorities, especially when green spaces exist within a 10-minute walk of every resident, according to the Trust for Public Land. I misspoke last week. I said 10-mile walk. I meant 10-minute walk, my mistake. The 10-minute walk to park metric is a good way to look at the access that we know children need for their health and well-being. Accessing nature needs to be easily accessible to everyone, especially children, and the importance of daily contact with nature, having access to parks near homes and schools, is vital. Public green spaces improve urban environments by providing and improving air quality, reducing levels of particulate matter and other pollutants, and by reducing exposure to noise, such as that from urban traffic. Supporting public green space is a powerful public health strategy because access to parks and green space offers especially strong health benefits for people with low income and those most likely to be in poor health. This is called the epigenic effect because it reduces health disparities. Effects in nature contact was first described in 2008 paper by the Lancet. It effectively increases health equity between the wealthy and poor across racial groups. Since then, it has been shown to apply to mental health, COVID risk, birth outcomes, and many other health conditions, further demonstrating that parks and green spaces are a path to health equity. Research analyzing thermal satellite imagery for 14,000 cities and towns found that areas within a 10-minute walk of a park can be as much as 6 degrees cooler than neighborhoods outside of that range. Areas lacking green space are also more prone to flooding since soils and vegetation can capture stormwater before it inundates streets and homes. The destruction of public green space is a form of systemic violence. Supporters of Cadell Commons Park are protecting our community resource that was gifted to the city to be a public park forever. Please don't allow your legacy to be complicit in this kind of violence against our community. Thank you.
Next, we have Diamond Belmonte. Diamond Belmonte is from East Cleveland. Diamond is here to talk about violence. And Diamond is not representing anyone and not being paid by anyone. Is Diamond Belmonte here? Diamond, you have the microphone.
Hey, you guys. My name is Diamond Belmonte. Can you guys hear me now? Okay.
Yes.
Hey, you guys. My name is Diamond Belmonte. I'm sorry. I just feel like we're right here. My brother was killed by a police officer in East Cleveland, Larry McDonald. He was killed in 2021. As you guys know, he's just been going through this mess in the city and everything else. And I just feel like, honestly, if we would have cracked down, he wasn't indicted by a grand jury about my brother's case. But if he would have actually been indicted or somebody actually would have did something around the time that my brother died, then them other people wouldn't have got hurt. He would have actually been off the streets. And so instead of us actually, my brother was only 19 years old. He has a 2-year-old daughter that he never seen now. It's just a lot. Gun violence impacts everybody differently. Me personally, I deal with PTSD now. Anytime I see police officers, it brings up, and they don't even have to do anything. They could just be there. But it instantly makes me sad because it's a constant reminder. Now he's just another statistic. When I tell people what happened to my brother, they just look and be like, oh, I'm so sorry, because it happens every day now. Like, he's just another name on the list. That's really just it. I just wish that we could come together and really understand that this gun violence and like the kids and everything else, my brother had his whole life ahead of him. I'm only 27, I couldn't imagine living without my brothers, and now I actually got one that's gone. And it's a constant reminder on the news, on the social media, on everything, even with the stuff that just happened with that boy that hurt the officer. And just that was so traumatic for me. I couldn't even go on social media. I couldn't look at the news because everything is a reminder of something that happened in my life, only a couple years ago. And so that's really it. I just hope that this time around we can actually look into the cases and make sure that nobody else gets hurt, because it's a lot of cops that aren't here to protect the people. They're here to literally terrorize. Thank you.
Next, we have Deontay Eskridge. Deontay Eskridge is from Cleveland. He's here to talk about violence, and he is not representing anyone, and he's not being paid by anyone. Is Deontay Eskridge here? Deontay Eskridge. Deontay Eskridge going once. Deontay Eskridge going twice. Deontay Eskridge is not here. Last but not least, we have Brent Eisenbach from Ward 15 to talk about saving Cadell Park. He is not representing anyone and not being paid by anyone. Brent, you have the floor.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Mayor. The community has been told repeatedly after the fact that a determining factor in the land swap between Watterson Lake School site and portions of the Cadell Commons Park, a neighborhood park that was deemed surplus property by this administration, was that CMSD required additional land to build a new Marion Seltzer school. Why? Because swinging the children to a temporary site was too disruptive. This assertion is aspirational at best and perhaps misleading at worst. For the past 15 years, school redevelopment patterns on the Near West Side have almost always included moving students to a temporary location while their school was being rebuilt on the same footprint. Clark students are currently in the old Barbara Booker building. Gallagher students are currently at the old Garrett Morgan building. Waverly students went to Watterson Lake before it was demolished. Booker students stayed in their building while the Halley School was demolished and rebuilt. Prior to that, Orchard students were moved to the old Halley building before it was demolished. Elmira students first moved to the old Hawthorne School, which was found to be structurally unsound, and then they were moved a second time to the Brooklawn School on West 117th Street. Similarly, Dunbar students were moved to the old Kentucky School, which was also structurally unsound, and were also moved a second time to the Brooklawn School, which is a full 5 miles away from their original building. The point that I'm trying to make is that the presumption of keeping students in their school is the exception on the West Side, not the norm. I believe the truth of the matter is that this council and the administration prioritized commercial development interests over the welfare of school children by fabricating a myth that CMSD needed our parkland to build a new Marion Seltzer school. It's worth noting that this administration is offering extensive financial incentives to the development of the Watterson Lake site. Secondly, the community has been told that a 2-story design of the proposed new Marion Seltzer School was to mitigate visual conflicts with the Cadell Clock Tower. The reality is that CMSD's consultant prefers to use off-the-shelf school designs that are more suited to suburban settings where land is plentiful, rather than designing the building to fit its location. The Marion Seltzer School, right now on its current footprint, is 3 stories tall and does not conflict with the clock tower. It never has. Moreover, the new Clark School that's under construction right now is 3 stories. So building a building to that height and building a building to suit its site is well within the scope of business as usual. I implore this council to pass legislation to take back Cadell Park land that was wrongfully swapped away from our community and fund any gaps that exist in CMSD's budget to execute a reasonable plan to swing the kids. I've already emailed details of such a plan to Councilwoman Spencer and Chief Pomerantz. Save Cadell Park.
That ends public comment. Madam Clerk, please share communications.
File number 598, 2024, by Mayor Justin Bibb appointing Anastasia Elder to the Board of Trustees of the Greater Cleveland Regional Transit Authority, term ending March 2026. Received.
Are there any condolence resolutions?
Resolution of condolence. Resolution number 599-2024 by Councilman Jones for William Bill Strawbridge. Resolution number 600-2024 by Councilman Starr for James L. Heron.
Are there any other condolence resolutions? Councilman Anthony Hairston.
Thank you, Mr. President. Please hold a number for Joyce Marie Jackson.
Thank you. Are there any other condolence resolutions? Seeing no other condolence resolutions, we will all stand for a moment of silence. Thank you. Are there any congratulatory resolutions?
By Councilmember Hairston, resolution number 601, 2024 for Bishop John Walden. By Councilman Jones, resolution number 602, 2024 for Dorothy Farrell.
Okay, there are no presentations, therefore do we have any presentations?
I got one more.
You got one more?
Recognitions, they broke them.
Okay, please proceed.
Resolutions of recognition by Councilmember Conwell, resolution number 603, 2024 for Brittany Alexandria Smith. By Councilmember Gray, resolution number 604, 2024 for Global Cleveland. By Councilmember Griffin for resolution number 605, 2024 for Open Door Missionary Baptist Church. By Councilmember Griffin, resolution number 606, 2024 for Reverend Dr. Stephen Rowan. Councilmember Harrison, Resolution Number 607, 2024 for Shirley Tucker. Councilman Polincic, Resolution Number 608, 2024 for Republic of Slovenia Statehood Day.
Thank you. First reading emergency ordinances referred for administrative review and committee review.
Ordinance number 577-2024 by Council Members Bishop, Griffin, by departmental request, authorizing the Director of Public Works to enter into one or more agreements with changeover or its designee to allow and accept improvements to 4 tennis courts at Thorogood Marshall Recreation Center as a gift to the city. Ordinance number 578-2024 by Councilmember Griffin by departmental request, authorizing the Director of Finance to enter into one or more contracts with Global Cleveland to provide services to immigrants, refugees, international students, and new citizens of Cleveland for a period of 1 year with 2 one-year options to renew, exercisable by the Director of Finance. Ordinance number 579-2024 by Council Members McCormick and Griffin by departmental request to amend Section 139.17 of the Codified Ordinance of the City of Cleveland as enacted by Ordinance Number 107-2023, passed April 3rd, 2023, relating to customer facility charge for on-airport car rental customers. Ordinance Number 580-2024 by Council Members Harrison and Griffin by departmental request to amend Section 1 of the Ordinance Number 671-2023, passed June 5th, 2023, as amended, relating to authorizing the Director of Community Development to provide financial assistance to projects providing housing in the City of Cleveland. Ordinance Number 581-2024 by Councilmember Bishop and Griffin by departmental request to amend the title and Sections 1 and 5 of the Ordinance 683-2021, passed September 27, 2021, and to supplement the ordinance by adding new Sections 5A, 5B, and 5C relating to the authorizing of the Director of Capital Projects to apply for and accept funding from the Ohio Department of Transportation for the preliminary study of the Lakefront Pedestrian Bridge and authorizing contracts. Ordinance number 582-2024 by Council Members McCormick, Bishop, and Harrison by departmental request, authorizing the Director of Capital Projects to issue a permit to Burgess LLC to encroach into the public right-of-way of Follett Court by installing, using, and maintaining a private sanitary sewer line and providing storm sewer lines. Ordinance number 583-2024 by Council Members Bishop and Griffin by departmental request, authorizing the purchase of one or more requirement contracts of rock salt for the Division of Streets, Department of Public Works for a period of 1 year. Ordinance number 584-2024 by Council Members Bishop and Griffin by departmental request, authorizing the Director of Capital Projects to employ one or more professional consultants or one or more firms of consultants to perform various construction activities for roads, bridges, and city facilities not to exceed a total term of 30 months. Ordinance number 585-2024 by Councilmember Griffin by departmental request, authorizing the Director of Finance to employ one or more professional consultants, computer software developers, and vendors to acquire licenses for a grant management software system to maintain and implement grants, including related services, for the Division of Financial Reporting and Control, Department of Finance, for a period of 3 years, with 2 one-year options to renew, exercisable by the Department of Finance, Director of Finance. Ordinance number 586-2024 by Council Members Casey, Bishop, and Griffin by departmental request, authorizing the procurement of one or more requirement contracts for the rental of various types of heavy-duty equipment for the divisions of Water, Cleveland Public Power, and Water Pollution Control of the Department of Public Utilities, and for the Department of Public Works for a period of 2 years. Ordinance number 587-2024 by Council Members Bishop, Casey, and Griffin by departmental request, authorizing the purchase by one or more requirement contracts of labor and materials necessary for analysis, identification, storage, remediation, transportation, cleanup, emergency response, recycling, and disposal of various chemicals, hazardous waste products, and other non-hazardous and recyclable waste materials, routine industrial cleaning, and required training for the divisions of Water, Cleveland Public Power, and Water Pollution Control, Department of Public Utilities, and the Department of Public Works for a period of 2 years with 2 one-year options to renew, the first of which shall require additional legislative authority. Ordinance number 592-2024 by Councilmember Griffin by departmental request to authorize the Director of Finance to enter into an amendment to contract number 61386 with ADP Incorporated for licenses and services for an integrated payroll and human resources information system to extend the term of the contract for up to 1 year with one or more options to renew for an additional total term not to exceed 2 years exercisable by the Director of Finance. Ordinance number 593-2024 by Councilman Casey to supplement the codified ordinance of Cleveland, Ohio by amending section 459-111 as amended by ordinance number 1693-06 passed October 9, 2006 relating to parking infraction fines. Ordinance number 594-2024 by Council Members Bishop and Griffin by departmental request, authorizing the Director of Capital Projects to apply for and accept a grant from the United States Department of Transportation for the 2024 Safe Streets and Roads for All grants, authorizing the Director of Capital Projects to appropriate director to enter into contracts to implement the grant, determining the method of making the public improvements and constructing safety improvements on Lee Road, Lorraine Avenue, and East 93rd Street, and through quick build demonstration projects on Kinsman Road, Superior Avenue, and Dennison Avenue, authorizing contracts to make the improvement, to apply for and accept any gifts or grants from the public or private entity, authorizing the Commissioner of Purchases and Supplies to acquire, accept, and record real property and easements that are necessary for the improvement, and authorizing other agreements. Ordinance number 595-2024 by Council Members McCormick, House Jones, and Griffin by departmental request, authorizing the Director of Finance to enter into one or more contracts with Clutch Consulting Group, the Cleveland Mediation Center, and various nonprofit organizations for the purpose of developing and implementing direct-to-housing encampment resolution practices to eliminate unsheltered homelessness in the city of Cleveland as a part of A Home for Every Neighbor, a vision for housing our unsheltered community initiative for the Department of Finance for a period not to exceed 18 months.
First reading emergency ordinances to be passed.
Ordinance number 598-2024 by Council Members Conwell and Griffin by departmental request, authorizing the Director of Public Works to apply for and accept a grant from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Health Resources and Services Administration for a Healthy Start Initiative grant to carry out various Moms First projects, authorizing the purchase or lease of television and radio advertisement time and other media, professional services to acquire case management software, and enter into one or more contracts with various agencies, entities, and individuals to implement the project. Ordinance number 597-2024 by Councilmember Gray, authorizing the Director of the Department of Economic Development to enter into agreement with the Henry's Dry Cleaners and Care Center Incorporated for business parking lot and the pocket improvement project through the use of Ward 4, casino revenue funds.
Read the motion to suspend the rules.
Motion by Councilmember Harsh that the rules be suspended and legislation just read be placed on final passage. Seconded by Councilmember Starr.
Call the roll.
Griffin, Bishop, Conwell, Gray, Hairston, Harsh, House Jones, Jones, Casey, Kelly, Moore, McCormick, Polensek, Santana, Slife, Spencer, Starr. 16 yeas.
Councilman Polensek.
Chairman, I just want to make sure I'm recorded as a no on ordinance number 553. Okay, I know. Okay, I just want to make sure.
Duly noted. Call the roll on passage.
Griffin, Bishop, Conwell, Gray, Hairston, Harsh, House Jones, Jones, Casey, Kelly, Moore, McCormick, Polensek, Santana, Slife, Spencer, Starr. 16.
Did Councilman McCormick recuse?
We're not there yet. We're not there yet.
Okay. All right. First reading ordinances referred for administrative review and committee review.
Ordinance number 588-2024 by Council members McCormick and Spencer to supplement the codified ordinance of the City of Cleveland by enacting new sections 686B.101 through 686B.11 and 686B.99 related to short-term rentals, and by amending sections 193.01, 193.02, 193.03, and 193.021, as amended by various ordinances related to the transient occupancy tax, and by amending sections 337.02, as amended by ordinance number 586-16 passed July 13th, 2016, related to one-family districts, and repealing sections 337.251 as amended by ordinance number 144-16 passed January 23, 2017, related to limited lodging in residence districts.
First reading emergency resolutions referred for administrative review and committee review.
Resolution 590-2024 by Councilmember Griffin by departmental request to adopt and declare a tax budget for the City of Cleveland for the year 2025 and submit to the County Budget Commission as required by state law, Chapter 5705 of the Revised Code. Resolution number 591-2024 by Council members Conwell, Hairston, and Griffin by departmental request, appointing an assessment equalization board to hear objections to estimated assessments with respect to the creation of the University Circle Special Improvement District of Cleveland and the initial plan for public services for the district, and declaring an emergency.
First reading emergency resolutions to be adopted.
Resolution number 596-2024 by Councilmember Griffin, objecting to the transfer of ownership of a C2 and C2X liquor permit to 11543-45 Mount Carmel Avenue, lower level.
Read the motion to suspend the rules.
Motion by Councilmember Harsh that the rules be suspended and legislation just read be placed on final passage. Seconded by Starr.
Call the roll.
Councilmember Starr. Griffin, Bishop, Conwell, Gray, Hairston, Harsh, House Jones, Jones, Casey, Kelly, Moore, McCormick, Polensek, Santana, Slife, Spencer, Starr. 16.
Call the roll on adoption.
Griffin, Bishop, Conwell, Gray, Hairston, Harsh, House Jones, Jones, Casey, Kelly, Moore, McCormick, Polensek, Santana, Slife, Spencer, Starr. 16.
Second reading emergency ordinances to be passed.
Ordinance number 369-2024 by Council members Hairston and McCormick. By Hairston, Griffin, McCormick, House Jones, Starr, by departmental request to amend Section 3 of Ordinance number 531-2021, passed August 18, 2021, relating to accepting funding from the United States Treasury Department for purposes of implementing the Emergency Rental Assistance Program established under the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021 and authorizing contracts to implement. Ordinance number 370-2024 by Council members Hairston and Griffin by departmental request To amend the first whereas clause of Section 1 of Ordinance Number 1253-2019, passed October 21st, 2019, repeal the third whereas clause and supplement the ordinance by adding new Section 1A relating to authorizing the Director of Community Development to be a co-applicant and a co-grantee with Cuyahoga Metropolitan Housing Authority, which will allow CMHA to accept HUD funding to implement the Choice Neighborhoods Implementation Grant. Ordinance number 402-2024 as amended by Council members McCormick and Bishop by departmental request, authorizing the Director of Port Control to execute a deed of easement granting the East Ohio Gas Company, DBA Dominion Energy Ohio, certain easement rights in the property located at Cleveland Hopkins International Airport and declaring that the easement rights grants are not needed for the city's public use. Ordinance number 403-2024 by members Bishop and Hairston by departmental request, authorizing the Directors of Public Works and Capital Projects to execute various deeds of permanent, temporary, and subterranean easement granting to the Northeast Ohio Regional Sewer District certain easement rights at or under several city-owned properties for NEORSD's Southerly Tunnel and Consolidation Project and declaring the easement rights not needed for the city's public use. Ordinance number 404-2024 by Council members Bishop and Griffin by departmental request, authorizing the Director of Public Works to enter into a license agreement with the Convention and Visitors Bureau of Greater Cleveland, Incorporated, doing business as Destination Cleveland or its designee, to install and maintain graphic art on city-owned property at 205 West St. Clair for a period of 5 years, automatically renewing from year to year. Ordinance number 405-2024 by members Bishop and Griffin by departmental request, authorizing the purchase by one or more requirement contracts of trees and labors and materials needed for urban forestry services, including but not limited to maintaining and planting trees and removing trees, stumps, and tree waste material for the Division of Park Maintenance and Properties, Department of Public Works, and the Departments of Aging and Community Development for a period of 1 year, with a 1-year option to renew, exercisable by the Department of Public Works. Ordinance number 407-2024 by Council members Polensek, Bishop, and Griffin by departmental request, authorizing the Mayor and the Commissioner of Purchases and Supplies to sell certain city-owned property no longer needed for the city's public use, located at the southeast corner of Grovewood Avenue at East 164th Street, to Greater Cleveland Habitat for Humanity or its designee for purposes of future development. Ordinance number 418-2024 by Council members Bishop, Hairston, Griffin, and House Jones by departmental request to vacate a portion of Curtis Avenue Northeast, east of East 59th Street. Ordinance number 441-2024 by Council members McCormick and Griffin by departmental request, authorizing the Director of Port Control to exercise the second option to renew contract CT 3001 LS 2023-0003 with Paradis Air for the lease of city-owned space located in the terminal building at Burke Lakefront Airport at 1501 North Marginal Road to support its helicopter tour services for the Department of Port Control. Ordinance number 471-2024 by Council members Bishop and Griffin and Hairston by departmental request to authorize the Director of Capital Projects to enter into agreement with the Chagrin River Watershed Partners to participate in their grant for the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation for the Engaging Dungway Brook Communities in designating stream and wetland restoration project by providing in-kind services. Ordinance number 477-2024 by Council members Polensek and Griffin by departmental request, authorizing the purchase by one or more requirement contracts of various pharmaceuticals, medical supplies, and medical equipment for the Division of the Division of Emergency Medical Services, Department of Public Safety for a period of 1 year with 2 one-year options to renew, exercisable by the Director of Public Safety. Ordinance number 525-2024 as amended by Council Members Polinsek and Griffin by departmental request, authorizing the Director of Community Relations Board to enter into contract with the President's Council Business Chambers fiscal grant for the Mount Pleasant Ministerial Alliance, Icons, and the Children at Play edumentation for professional services necessary to develop and implement young adult violence intervention and prevention programs and strategies to reduce violent activities on streets in high hotspot areas, and for other community violence intervention work for 1 year with 3 one-year options to renew, exercisable by the Director of Community Relations Board. Ordinance number 545-2024 by Councilmember Griffin by departmental request to amend Section 3 of Ordinance number 905-2022 and Section 3 of Ordinance number 906-2022 passed September 19, 2022, relating to allocating a portion of the city's coronavirus local fiscal recovery funds for the agreement with Child Care Resource Center of Cuyahoga County, DBA Starting Point, to assist with the Early Childhood Recovery Initiative. Ordinance number 553-2024 as amended by Councilmember Griffin by departmental request, authorizing the Director of Finance and Mayor to terminate the on-site parking garage Gateway East base lease as no longer needed for the public use and appropriating certain funds to satisfy the city's capital repair obligations.
Read the motion to suspend the rules, and I want to make sure there's one that Councilman McCormick, I want to make sure that he goes on record for a recusal.
Motion by Councilmember Harsh that the rules be suspended and the legislation just read be placed on final passage, seconded by Councilmember Starr.
Councilman McCormick, do you have the number you need to be recused from?
Thank you, Mr. President. Please recuse me from ordinance 407-2024.
Noted.
Call the roll, and can Councilman Jones, can you go to, and so your vote can count? Everybody needs to be in their seat for the votes to count.
Griffin, Bishop, Conwell, Gray, Hairston, Harsh, House Jones, Casey, Kelly, Moore, McCormick, Polinsek, Santana, Slife, Spencer, Starr. 16.
Call the roll on passage.
Griffin, Bishop, Conwell, Gray, Hairston, Harsh, House Jones, Casey, Kelly, Moore, McCormick, Polinsek, Santana, Slife, Spencer, Starr on ordinance number 407-2024, 15 yeas, 1 recusal. On ordinance number 533-2024, 14 yeas, 2 nays. On all else, 16 yeas. That's 553. Oh, I'm sorry, 553-2024.
Thank you. Are there any introductions? Seeing no introductions, are there any announcements? I do want to make sure that we, if we need a ticket, where's Commissioner Johnson? Okay, because there was an event, usually there's free parking. If you had to pull a ticket, please see Commissioner Johnson if you need your parking for tonight, okay? Are there any other announcements? Councilwoman Spencer.
Apologies, Council President. I didn't catch the introductions quickly enough, so I'll make my announcement that. I'd like to introduce Ms. Carmen Gray, who is a Ward 15 advocate. She has been a tremendous advocate since she has moved into Ward 15. I appreciate her greatly. Joseph Nappy is the brand new Ward 15 summer intern. So for my council colleagues, you will be seeing him in our offices, and so pleased to have him. Recent CSU graduate. And then I see Joseph Gabbard and Bob Whitney from Habitat for Humanity in the back for those who missed them. So thank you, Council President.
Thank you. That is all the announcements. Any miscellaneous announcement? Councilwoman House Jones.
Yes, I just wanted to make sure that we share that the waste pollution control applications are currently open for the internship to apprenticeship program. And again, they will be accepting applications for the internship to apprenticeship program. This is a wonderful program. We put you on a pathway to earning family sustaining wages. Applications are due on June 1st, and they actually will be having an in-person event on June 1st at Water Pollution Control. If you're on my e-newsletter, you would have all the details, but if you're not, contact Water Pollution Control. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Polinsik, miscellaneous.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Acting Clerk, my honorable colleagues, Mayor, members of the administration, and viewing public. I want to rise to, first of all, to thank all my colleagues for the support for Ordinance 407-24, the Habitat for Humanity piece. I want to thank Director DeRosa, Susan DeGennaro. I want to thank City Planning for realizing that we have to build different types of housing in the city of Cleveland today. This is the first opportunity to have a critical mass of new housing constructed, single-family homes constructed on the northeast side since the entire economic meltdown that we saw 2006 through 2008. Long time coming. But I'm hoping with what Habitat for Humanity is proposing, not only in my ward, but in other wards across the city, that we can start to see aging in place housing, housing that is affordable for our residents. And when we have, you hear different figures from different people. First it's 16,000 empty lots, then it's 18,000 and up. I don't know how many exact lots that are vacant in the city of Cleveland, but we've got to have affordable housing. So we have to do things differently than we did in the past. So I'm looking forward, and I'm hoping this is going to work, and I want to say to the administration, all the help that we can provide for such a wonderful group like Habitat for Humanity, we need to do. That's what we need in the city, and again, I want to thank my colleagues. I want to thank Councilman Bishop, Councilman Hairston, you, Mr. President, and all my colleagues for supporting this endeavor, not just in my ward, but other places. Something else I wanted to say tonight, because I'm seeing this reoccurring theme during public comment. And I've been here for a while, and what I've heard is speakers getting up and somehow directing comments to members of council as it pertains to the delivery of services. And I want to say, especially to the viewing public, and I want to repeat this again, and I say it quite frequently, but I need to say it. I don't think I've said it on this floor in a very long time. Council does not hire. We do not fire. We do not deploy. We do not administer. We do not deliver services. We provide the funding for the services, and we initiate legislation, but the actual delivery of services begins with the mayor and through his directors on down. And I'm hearing this reoccurring theme that somehow council members, you better stop the speeding. Somehow you better do this and you better do that. At the end of the day, and I'll say this on any fear of contradiction, this body gave the administration everything they asked for and needed, and then some, for the delivery of city services. And if I'm incorrect, please somebody tell me that differently. We've provided the funding that we needed for services, whether it be police, fire, EMS, public works, you name it, we provided the funding. So I'm frustrated, like the rest of my colleagues, that I find going to neighborhood meetings that I'm more and more hearing about the delivery of services. But yesterday, I attended an event over in Glenville, Everlasting Baptist Church, a historic landmark in our neighborhood, in Glenville, a site where Dr. King preached, and it just has a tremendous history. But as I was going to the church, coming down Eddy Road, I noticed myself all the high grass along Eddy Road, a main route going right up to East Cleveland. After the program, wonderful program at Everlasting, many of the church ladies, a good group of them, came up to me, different thing we were talking about. Councilman, did you see that high grass? Did you see that high grass? And I said, yes, I did. But I said, you know what? Council doesn't cut grass. Council members don't cut grass. We allocate the funds to do that. We support health inspectors. We support building inspectors. We support everything that's needed. And so I want to say again to the administration as we go into summer here, we've got to figure out a better way collectively to deliver services, quality of life services. I got high grass in sections of my ward that look like Kansas. And I'm waiting for Dorothy to show up with Toto, okay? I mean, I'm just telling you how high that grass is. And so at the end of the day, we need to get the grass cut. We got to figure out how to address some of these quality of life issues. But I want to say to the resident viewing, council does not deliver service. We do not deliver service. We're here to do what we need to do, and I want to thank you, Mr. Chairman, and my colleagues for everything you did to allocate the funds. But I'm a little frustrated going into summer, so I'm just making that, I'm saying it right here. We got to come up with a better approach collectively to address city services. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Joseph Jones.
Mr. Chairman, I rise and I want to just talk about every time I hear people, when I'm out, I hear a lot of negative stuff. And I try to make sure that the citizens understand that Cleveland is in a rebuild mode. When I came to council several years ago, we have the same issues that we are dealing with today, no different. We got tall grass all over the place, and some of the frustration came out on the table this morning. And when you're rebuilding departments like community development, and we all been sitting down here, we all see the issues, and we need to tell the truth like the truth needs to be told. It's a rebuild. The community development department has been changing director after director after director. And it wouldn't matter who becomes the mayor of the city of Cleveland because the challenges will still be the same. And so we are actually in a rebuild. And when we look at the police department, we've been having problems from the very beginning with all of the murders and shooting and killing, and then I heard something called the blue flu, and that's when I started running for public office in 2017. And so we still have the issues, we haven't resolved them, and I've even come to some of my colleagues and said, okay, we got $511 million. Now what are we gonna do with that money? And the previous administration says it's one-time funds, and we have to be careful how we spend those funds. And I submitted to the council at the time that the biggest issue in the city of Cleveland is safety. And when you have those 3 little girls crying right here in front of all of these elected officials, talking about how they're traumatized and that they don't want to even go to school. Well, I don't know about some of you, but that bothered me sitting here. It's unacceptable. It shouldn't be. But yet we passed legislation here in this council for the University Circle Police Department, and the very plan that I had brought to our council members and some of our leadership here was the same plan that they're implementing, and they're able to keep their people safe in their neighborhood. That's having 1 one-man cars, 2 one-man cars in every single neighborhood. And all they do is traffic enforcement. And then have another 2 two-man cars, and all they do is handle the citizens' complaint in the neighborhood. And if you put those 4 cars together and you total the people, it's 18 people that stay in that neighborhood doing policing in that community. They don't go to the left and they don't go to the right. And when you add that up, it's 320 police officers. And if you put that kind of manpower in the city of Cleveland every day and every single neighborhood, you will have what it takes. And then I was told we have to add a little bit onto it for those who have to take vacation and sick time, and then we'd have to double that number. That number still comes to 612 police officers. Now, I don't know why we're sitting back, and that seems to be a very difficult thing to implement. If Shaker's doing it, if Maple Heights is doing it, if University Circle is doing it, we have the manpower here in the city of Cleveland to do it, and then you still got some police left over. if you want to put the rest of them downtown. But if you want to get serious about improving safety in the city of Cleveland, you got to have a different plan. And so every week when I get this mic, I'm going to stand up and talk about the problems we got in this city and that we should have addressed them a long time ago. But this city is on a rebuild. Thank you.
Madam Clerk, please excuse the absences.
Motion by Councilmember Harsh that the absence of Councilmember Santana is hereby excused, seconded by Councilmember Starr.
All right. This council is adjourned to the call of the chair. The next meeting will be June the 3rd, 2024.